I'm Ilona Scott, and I'm going to read from 88 Keys, which is a novel based on a true story. The protagonist is Sonia, and her real name is, she was known as Sofia Cosma, a young successful concert pianist. She finds herself being arrested by the Soviet police from her home in Riga, Latvia, on the day the Germans attacked the Soviet Union in World War II. In detention camps in Siberia and Kazakhstan, she realizes the reason for the arrest was her Austrian citizenship. The internment camps are for foreigners from the countries that attacked the Soviets. While in Kukuzek camp in Kazakhstan, she meets Valya Cosma. They fall in love and are about to have a child. Life in the camp is atrocious, even though this camp is run by a commandant who isn't cruel. He allows the prisoners to have gatherings and have even created a special barracks for prisoners with children. That is why Sonia and Valya are living together. Murzik is a cat brought by the guards to help with the rodent infestation and has been given to Sonia's care. Chapter 58, part of it. Inside her in Valya's little room, carved out of the Spaniards' barracks, Sonia woke up from a rough night filled with discomfort from her advanced pregnancy and her worry about Murzik, her beloved cat. It had been 3 days since the party the Spaniards had thrown for her and Valya, and in those 3 days she hadn't seen Murzik at all. The cat would have been there unless something horrible had stopped him. An incredulous suspicion grew inside her that the Spaniards had something to do with the disappearance. Who knows, being so overly resourceful, the Spaniards may have used him for meat in the stew they had all eaten at the party. She felt nauseated and tried to dismiss her disturbing thoughts, but couldn't. As the dawn light brightened, Sonia felt the urge to confront the men in the main barracks and get it over with before they had a chance to leave for the day. She listened one more time for hopeful cat sounds, but the only sound she could hear was the Spaniard snoring, filtering through the canvas door. As she moved, Valya pulled on her sleeve and whispered, "Sonia, what's wrong? Do you need anything? I'll get it." "I want to talk to the men." She wiggled herself off the bed, dressed, and went into the barracks' larger area where the men slept. Everything was messy, and the only thing she could hear were the 8 men still snoring on the sleeping shelf. Her decision was made. She stepped out in the middle of the room, and in full voice she said, "I need to talk to you, so please get up." Valya came behind her and pulled on her sleeve to stop her, but she shrugged him off. Ricardo was the first to get up. He rubbed his eyes, looking perplexed. She stepped toward him. "Ricardo, what happened to my cat?" Ricardo lowered his head and didn't answer. He combed through his black curls with his fingers and quickly walked out of the room. Anger choked her throat. Sonia turned to Enrique, who was seated at the edge of the shelf. "Did you do harm to my Murzik?" Enrique didn't answer either. He just sat, head down. It was clear they all knew something. Exasperated, she yelled at Reynaldo, "Did you kill my cat?" He was already walking by her, heading out the room. She yelled her haunting question to the remaining Spaniards, all seated quietly on their shelf with their heads down. Then she noticed Valya standing near the wall, watching her with a worried look. She cried out, "Valya, tell me, did these criminals cook my cat for our party?" Anger and defeat for not getting an answer made her feel faint. She felt Valya's support on her arm and let him guide her back to the little room. She sat on the edge of the sleeping shelf and wailed. She couldn't stop, regardless of how hard Valya tried to calm her. The whole thing exhausted her. She felt ill, and when she got off the shelf to go vomit, she felt the warmth of water running down her legs. Instantly, her focus changed. The vomit sensation was gone. She turned to Valya. "Quick, run! Get Dr. Winter, the baby's coming." Almost stumbling, Valya hurried out through the fabric door. She heard Teodulo, the last Spaniard she had yelled at, saying, Stay with her, Valia. I'll go. Holding to the table, Sonia lifted her skirt to clean up, but had difficulties bending. Valia returned to took a diaper from the table, kneeled, and gently wiped her legs. She looked at his head as he labored, and suddenly she felt peace with everything. The baby was coming. It was time to let this life that had been growing inside her see the sunlight. Soon she'd be a mother. She gently touched Valia's head and smiled when he looked up. I love you so much, Sonia. We are going to be parents, forever connected through the life that will come out of you in minutes. He stopped. In hours? She felt panic in his voice. He got up and guided her to the main room. As they entered, she saw 7 spaniels sitting on their sleeping shelf looking guilty. They jumped up and started yelling offers of help. Valia signaled for them to sit and be quiet. For the first time since Sonia had met them, they submitted totally to a silence order and became motionless and mute, looking miserable. She blasted them with her eyes, but then felt sorry and smiled. She watched their face light up. If something had happened to Murzik, there was nothing she could do for him now. And at this moment, she wanted to concentrate solely on her baby. After Teodoro went to help, only minutes passed before Edna and 2 other kitchen workers arrived in the barracks with a wheelchair. Edna said, "We'll take you to the doctor, Sonia. Come, sit here." Sonia let them help her into the chair, and they rolled her out the door and across the uneven ground to the kitchen 200 yards away. Why the kitchen? Why hadn't they just taken her to the infirmary or left her alone to give birth in her room? She heard the midwife, Mrs. Pinker, directing 2 women on how to cover the bread cutting table so it could be used for birth. How strange. This was the table she had worked at, and where she had played piano on imaginary keys. Now she was going to give birth on it? That was the last thought she had before the excruciating pain struck her. The women lifted her onto the table. She felt the cool sheets and softness of the thin mattress beneath her. Then everything became hot and painful. She felt her forehead being wiped with cool rags. She screamed in response to the agonizing pain. She looked with hope at Mrs. Pinker as if she could stop the agony, but she just said, "Push, Sonia, push. Let the baby come. More, more. I can't push any harder." She had a moment of relief, but it didn't last. "I'll die here. I'll die. Water, give me water. Where is Valia? He's outside waiting for you and the baby. Ask him to come in." "No, men don't belong here. Push, Sonia, push. Oh, my God, save me from this. Why is it so hard? I see the head," someone yelled, and she realized it was Dr. Winter's voice. "Oh, it hurts. Push, Sonia, your baby is coming out now. Don't stop, push." Sonia let out her loudest scream ever and kept screaming until she felt the pain leaving her along with the weight her body had carried for 9 months. In that instant, the room filled with the wail of the baby. A wave of immense relief and deep happiness washed over her. "I hear my baby," she whispered. "She's done it. Her baby was born." "It's a girl," Dr. Winter said. "We have a girl. God bless her. May she live free." My dream was right, Sonia thought. I have a baby girl. Where is my girl? I want her. Bring her to me. In a minute, Mrs. Pinker said. Soon she brought over a bundle in a white sheet. The first thing Sonia saw was the baby's white bonnet. She reached out, and a second later she held the life she had carried inside her just minutes before. From beneath the bonnet, a very fat face and red face let out a bawl. Sonia gently placed her girl on her chest, and that stopped her crying. She lifted the bonnet to reveal the little fuzzy bald head and looked out completely enchanted. "Mrs. Pinker, please ask Valia to come in." The woman smiled and ran out of the kitchen, returning almost instantly with Valia. His cheeks were washed with tears as he looked at Sonia and the baby. "Let me hold her," he said. Sonia lifted the child into his arms. "Valia, she looks like a washerwoman's hands. Prachka, see how red her face is?" "She's beautiful, my washerwoman. Good morning, Prachka." She saw the joy in his face, but it was overshadowed with regret. "Sorry, my child, you had to be born in Kukuzek camp, the armpit of the world." Sonia didn't want any regrets. Her baby was born, and it didn't matter where it happened. She let exhaustion take over her body and mind as Mrs. Pinker towel washed her and readied her to leave. The commotion outside turned into women's voices announcing a girl. The door slammed, and there they were, women helping her into the wheelchair. She abandoned herself to their care, but extended her arms for the only thing she wanted, her baby. "I'm the baby,"